Should you be training when you're sick or injured? Big questions today on Strong for Life Live. This is Coach Josh Wood down here in Hobart, Tasmania. It is a very warm Tuesday morning, just past 10 in the morning. It's going to be 31 degrees Celsius here, which is hot, much too hot. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is the short and sweet podcast for busy parents and professionals who just want some answers and some actionable things to take charge of their health and fitness and become strong for life. And if you're catching this live, it goes live Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. on YouTube, the Coach Josh Wood channel, and the Become Strong for Life Facebook group. If you're catching this as a podcast, you can find it on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. And I guess YouTube now too, because that took over for Google. And if you are catching on any of those platforms, please take a minute to rate, review, and leave questions. At least on Spotify, I know that every episode has an opportunity for you to ask questions about what you'd like discussed. What would you like answers on? So always ask questions. Please share any helpful tips you get from the show with your friends and family. And hit me up if you have any thoughts, concerns, or questions. And so let's get right into it. Again, this is a very, very common topic because this is my job. My job is to coach people and to help them become strong for life. And I always get questions about injuries and illness and what people should do about them. And the answer is it depends, like anything. So I was sick last week. Still got a little bit of a stuffed up face, but I feel great, except for that. And it was funny because I was going to do this podcast last week, and I was like, good opportunity to talk about what to do when you're sick. But I sounded like garbage. I was coughing and sniffling and snuffling, and I was like, nobody wants to listen to that, especially audio only. So I was like, all right, we'll put it off until I can speak properly. But it's something I talked to a lot of my clients about and mentioned through Instagram as well about what to do. And I want to keep harping on about this because it's one of those things that it's good to know. You need to have a rule of thumb that you can follow when you get sick or injured. So, what's the answer? This is what I like to do, and this is what I did. If you are sick, let's talk about that first, and then we'll talk about injuries. If you are sick, what I like to do and what I recommend is that you do your warm-up. You just start moving. Maybe go for a walk, or if you have a dedicated dynamic warm-up of some sort, start working through that and see how you feel. But just slowly ramp it up. So maybe you got a little bit of cardio beforehand. Just go for a walk. 10, 15 minutes till you start to get a little bit of a sweat on, feeling warm, and then go, okay, do I feel better, worse, or the same? If you feel better, keep going. If you feel the same, keep going. If you feel worse, stop. Then do your warm-up and ask yourself, do I feel better, worse, or the same? If you feel better, keep going. If you feel worse, stop. If you feel the same, keep going. And as long as you're not feeling worse or more worn out, then I wouldn't really stress about it. And I'd keep working a little bit. But I'd still plan on not overdoing it. So I wouldn't do any HIIT training. I wouldn't do any real high intensity stuff. I probably wouldn't do any rep max testing. You could, but I'd probably avoid it. And I'd start moving and see how you feel. And if you continue to feel better, go through the motions, go through your workout, but plan on taking it easier. Don't overdo it because you could start to feel better and then crash after the adrenaline and cortisol wears off. So just slow and steady, ease into it. And this is what I found last week as well, is that I start off, I'll do some sun salutations because I do that almost daily as part of my daily get into the day before work and or before workouts as just a general warm up and to get my head in the game. And I do that, and I did that, and I went, okay, that's pretty good. I have this under desk cycle as well, little peddler machine I keep under my desk, and Did a bit of that, and I was like, okay, I feel okay, not bad. And then I started doing, because I'm doing a lot of rings. You can see them here if you're watching the video. I'm doing a lot of rings and gymnastics type stuff because it's really fun and I'm enjoying the challenge. And I did a little bit of that. I was like, I did a few things, and because the intensity is a little bit higher, it's pretty hard to do high reps with low intensity on the rings. You're kind of limited, so it's usually pretty high intensity stuff. It takes a lot out of you. Can't go for very long. And I gave a few exercises ago. I think I did some front lever stuff because I didn't want to be upside down because all the snot in my head would get up in my brain. And that was okay. Felt okay, and then I stopped. I did a little bit more cycling later while I was at the desk, and I generally felt okay. Not great, but I felt okay with that. But then I crashed a little bit in the afternoon. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense, but not too bad. I managed working, did family stuff in the evening, went to bed early, felt a little better the next day, and then I tried again. Because I try to do some activity every day. And I did some cycling, I did some sun salutations, feeling a little better. I went on the rings, pushed that a little bit harder, and felt pretty good. So I had a decent little workout, 30 minutes or so. And I pushed it decently hard, moderate. And that was okay. And the next day I felt better, and I went through the same process. And you can use this exact same system anytime you're feeling off. Excuse me. The thing is, you're probably going to feel better once you start exercising, especially if you're not sick, especially if it's all up in your head. This is something I tell a lot of my clients who get stuck in their heads or stuck at a desk and they're feeling like garbage. And then at the end of the day, they're all lethargic and stagnant and they're like, oh, I don't want to do workouts. It's like, okay, just go for a walk. See how you feel. If the walk feels good, start doing your warm-up. See how that feels. It's a rare case in which someone stops after their warm-up. Because once you start moving and you make it a habit to at least try, just do the warm-up. Once you do that, you usually feel pretty great and you're ready to go. It's the same with when you're sick. You're still going to want to increase your rest and your fluids and just generally making sure you're recuperating well. But just start with some light movement. Now let's talk about injury, because this is something I have to manage a lot with people. And as someone who has a history of chronic back pain and injury, I've had to manage a lot with myself and then pass those lessons on to the people I work with. And it's basically the same process. If you have back pain or any pain, but back pain, lower back pain is pretty common, so let's talk about that. You start moving. If you've had a flare up and the pain's bad, just start moving. Does the pain get better? Does it stay the same or does it get worse? If it stays the same, if it gets better, do more. If it gets better, you know you're on the right track. If it stays the same and it's still manageable, keep moving. And work through those steps. And as you go on to the next exercise or the next thing you're doing, if the pain gets better, keep going. If it stays the same, keep going. If it gets worse, stop. Take a break, do something else, or rest. And come back another day. But when it comes to pain management, there's two things going on here. If something you're doing makes the pain feel better, it usually, not always, usually means that if you keep doing it, the pain will continue to get better, especially when it comes to rehab type stuff. If you are dealing with back pain, you start doing your shoulder tap planks or your glute work and the pain goes away, you're on the right track, generally. If it stays the same, well, then you can manage it, because sometimes the pain's not going to go away right away. It's going to take some time. But one of the big things we do with pain is you have to desensitize. You have to teach your body that the movement is okay, and the movement doesn't make it worse. So you have no excuse for not moving, because if you're in pain anyway, and movement doesn't make it worse, at least you're reaping the benefits of the movement in all the other areas of your life. If you're going to be in pain, you might as well be productive about it. Sounds harsh, but that's my philosophy. So the more you can teach your body, your brain, your nervous system, that doing movement doesn't make the pain worse, that it's manageable or it makes it better, the less resistance you'll have to starting that again, to continuing to move. And Sometimes if you've been in a lot of pain, especially back pain, there's a lot of guarding, and you have to teach your body that those movements aren't making things worse, so you can stop avoiding them. So you can stop guarding, and you slowly desensitize yourself, and this can cause the pain to improve. So we always want to work up to, but not beyond the pain threshold. We don't want to exacerbate the pain. We want it to stay the same or get better. And so you should be able to play around and find what movements you can do up to your pain tolerance without making it worse. And over time, working up to that pain tolerance pushes the pain tolerance back so you can do more and more at the same level of pain. And so you're desensitizing yourself and making it less likely for your body to want to guard or cause a flare-up because of your exercise or activities that you're doing. So up to pain tolerance, not beyond. Don't make the pain worse, but if it maintains and it remains the same, your exercise is not hurting the issue. Continue to exercise, continue to do those activities. So whether you're sick or depressed or anxious or injured, it's always the same thing. Start moving. Go for a walk, start your warm-up, and assess every step of the way. I'm doing my 10-minute walk. Okay. Do I feel better, worse, or the same? I feel the same. Keep going. All right, I do my warm-up, do my first exercise. How do I feel? The same. Keep going. Do my second exercise. How do I feel? Oh, I'm feeling a little better. Keep going. Next exercise. How do you feel? I feel pretty good. Keep going. And you're stacking this habit formation, and you're stacking the signal to your brain and your body that this is good and this is okay, and it's not making anything worse, so I might as well keep going. And that is the whole system. If you find that the stuff you're doing will consistently make your body hurt more or make you feel worse or not help with depression or the anxiety that you're feeling that's preventing you from getting to the gym, you need to try something different. If you're doing weights and that doesn't help any of these situations, try different movements. Try running. Try walking. If you hate walking, try rowing. Try cycling. Try Stairmaster. If you hate all that stuff, do some yoga. If you hate yoga, do some body weight training. If you hate that, do some MovNat or flow style stuff. Start trying to solve problems with your body. Give yourself something mentally stimulating as well. There's so many. There's an infinite number of options out there. So if one thing isn't working for you, you need to try something else, because we know, and you know, that movement is essential to health. Movement is one of the core functions of what your body is designed for. If you are not moving consistently in a way that brings you some form of joy, whether it's through results or the process itself, if you are not moving, you are not living. You're dying quicker than you need to be. So find a movement. Embrace it. If you don't like it, find something else. You don't have to do CrossFit. You don't have to do powerlifting, but you have to do something if you really want to become strong for life and get the most out of life. And that's probably it for today. We're at the 15-minute mark, and I like to keep these succinct. So if you have any questions about training with injury, illness, whatever, you can always reach out. You can find me on Instagram, Coach Josh Wood, or online, strongforlife.online. See a bit about our coaching programs. We are doing intakes for our next 90-day program. So if you are ready to lose a bit of weight, become stronger and more capable, be an example to the people you work with or your family, this is a great opportunity. And all you have to do is reach out, and I can give you all the information you need. No pressure, just opportunities. All right, folks. Until next week.